All right, so welcome to step 11, phase 11. We're talking about prospecting. What does it mean, prospecting? A lot of people think that prospecting is cold calling. Well, cold calling is a portion, is a piece, is a part of prospecting. But prospecting can also be door knocking. Prospecting can also be texting and emailing, as far as if it's a follow-up, if it's part of your approach, contacting people. Prospecting is basically, if we can call it in another name, like if we can rename the word prospecting, what comes to mind is appointment booking. We book appointments. That's what prospecting is all about. And the step of prospecting is always connected to follow-up, which is the next step we'll do next week. But we are talking about prospecting and what it takes to become professional every single week. And that's why we're meeting on Mondays and Tuesdays at the Role Play Club, which we're going to do tomorrow morning. So with no further ado, let's begin. Remember, when we talk about, in this program, we're always talking about how to do real estate from a top producer point of view. So how do you need to start thinking? How do you need to start behaving if you wish to become a top producer? And I'm going to share with you a couple of things here. And obviously, if you have any questions, feel free. Key number one for success is prospecting. Top producers prospect every day, no matter what. I don't even know one person that is very successful at in the business that's not constantly prospecting. It's probably one of the most important things that people need to do in order to generate leads. It's the best lead generation tool that we have as professional salespeople. But a lot of people treat it as if it's a punishment, as if it's, no, I'm not into prospecting. I don't like to do that. But, generating leads can only happen when you're on the phone booking appointments. It's booking appointments. How do you generate the leads? So if you start your career in real estate and you have money, when I say you have money, I'm talking you have money to sustain yourself in the business for at least 12 months, and you have money to invest in the business to start helping you to put your name out there with postcards, with some branding on social media, etc., then we can talk about additional steps to take in your business that will speed up the process. But someone could very easily start in our business without any money. And that's what I teach. I teach agents to start with no money, zero money. You don't need to have any money other than, being able to provide for yourself, at least paying bills for the first year, so that you can really immerse yourself in all the studies and accumulating all the sales skills. So it takes time for you, and the only money you really need is to sustain yourself. Now, people who join our industry, they don't have 12 months, or don't have 6 months, and they need to make money immediately, like right now, I always tell them that real estate is not for them. And the reason is because it takes time to accumulate the skills necessary to start generating leads. And when I say that, I'm not talking about someone being able to send out one time a postcard and get a seller that calls you and that says, hey, I got your postcard. I want to know how much my home is worth. Can you please, come over? That's not going to happen very often. It's probably most definitely not going to happen when you send out one mailer. So at the beginning of your career, or in the middle of your career, if you're not producing enough, if you want to kick up your production to the next level, if you're doing 5 deals a year and you want to go to 25 plus, you have to, I don't have to say, convince yourself. You have to come to peace with the fact that the only way to become successful in real estate is by prospecting. And prospecting that I'm talking about right now is actually phone prospecting and door knocking. COVID-19 right now is going on. We can't really door knock. I understand, but we can get on the phone and call people. So prospecting is not necessarily cold calling. You can actually call your center of influence. You can call your past clients. You can call back people who reached out to you. And there's a lot of different ways of doing that. What to say, how to say, that's all, on a different level. that we need to talk about exactly what you're saying, who are you saying it to, how do you, following the scripts, which scripts to follow, how to do the follow-up and all that stuff. All right, so let's begin. Top producers prospect every day no matter what. It's their main source of income. And they do it no matter what. So what does that mean? It means that the first thing in the morning, the first thing we do as professional real estate listing agents is role play, get on the phone and prospect. Constant prospecting is essential to become successful because it assures the consistent lead generation and listing appointments. Consistent lead generation and listing appointments. That is what you're not going to see out there anywhere almost in our industry. Consistent lead generation. I know a lot of people who generate, a couple of leads and then they work the leads. They stop lead generation. So they do a little bit of prospecting. And then they get a couple of appointments. They stop to prospect. And they jump on, let me service these leads. Let me contact these people. Let me do a listing presentation. And they stop to prospect. So there's no lead generation while they're servicing these leads or trying to convert these leads. What I'm trying to teach you is how to generate leads and convert leads without ever stopping the stream, and just grow the stream by delegating and leveraging yourself with the services we're offering you here at Circle 100. So without prospecting, there is no predictability and consistency of closings and if you look, by the way, across the board, top producers who do, say, 30 plus deals a year, they will have every month 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 closings depending. But the majority of agents who do less than 10 deals a year, actually the majority of agents do less than 5 deals a year. So the majority of agents don't have predictability and consistency in their business. And the reason is because, number one, they don't prospect. Now, the question is why they don't prospect. And that is really the real question in our industry, why people don't prospect if prospecting is by far the best lead generation technique. And I tell you why they don't do it. Number one, they don't know what to say. Number two, they don't like rejection. They hate being rejected, so they don't call anybody. Therefore, they're not getting rejections. Number three, they want instant gratification. They're not willing to put in the work. They're not willing to put in the sweat. And it's definitely going to take some sweat to get you guys to make some money in real estate and accumulate the basic necessary leads, the basic, necessary skills that are necessary for you to become successful in a way that your business is predictable. Let me just zoom right into this thing so you guys can actually see it. Okay, can you guys see my screen right now?
Yes.
So let's continue. So prospecting mindset. What does that mean, mindset? So a lot of people think that mindset is how you feel within the moment. Yeah, feeling is, part of it. But mindset is really two different words. It's mind and then set, meaning we need to set the mind. This word mindset gives us the feeling that we have control over the process. But unfortunately, the majority of us are on what we call autopilot. The brain keeps going. We're talking about 50, 60,000 thoughts a day. Statistics and studies show that it's around 60,000 thoughts a day, and 95% of them are the same as yesterday. So every day you're thinking about the same stuff. So if someone's mindset is negative, how they get to the point that they have a negative mindset? Maybe they have low self-esteem. They have, thoughts that are not necessarily beneficial for them, for their success and for their business. Setting up your mind is done in the mind chatter that you have with yourself. And it takes a long time to actually take control over something that's been going on already all your life. Think about it. I don't know how old you are, but all the years of your life, you have this automatic machine going in the back, It's happening in your subconscious. It's just going all the time. And it brings up thoughts to your conscious mind. For example, if someone starts talking about a subject, oh, I just got this listing. Look, it's a 6-bedroom house, $2.5 million. It's located in the best area of XYZ. What are the thoughts that come to mind when someone talks to you about these things? Like, do you see limitations in yourself? Oh, I wish I could get that listing. I wish I had the skills necessary. Oh, they probably have all this chatter in the back of the mind. So prospecting mindset, you have to basically work on the link between how many deals you want to make and how many contacts you must do daily. What does that mean? Well, if you wish to do 20 deals a year, if you want to get 20 listings a year, then you must make 20 new contacts daily, 6 days a week. So this is like this is the formula that we work with all across the board. We know that if you contact 20 people every day, we're talking new contacts, every day 20 contacts, looking for listings, and you do that 6 days a week, within a year term, you will get at least 20 listings. And the reason I say at least is because as you go along, you will progress through the process of learning and you will build better skills in prospecting. Handling objections over the phone, understanding how a conversation on the phone really goes, A to Z, how to bring someone from the beginning of your script all the way to the end to book an appointment, and then how to handle objections, and then how to jump right into pre-qualifying that. So being in the mindset of prospecting, it means that you understand that if you wish to get a certain amount of deals done, then you have to do a certain amount of contacts every day. That's the requirement. You can't reach success without sweating. You have to, get in the mud and work it. Okay. What's considered prospecting? Initiating conversation over the phone and door to door. We spoke about it. You're going to call people that you know and met already, which are the sphere of influence and past clients. These are people that know you and you know them. And you're going to also contact those you don't know. Same with door knocking, visiting those you know and those you don't know. So the mindset is you have to prepare a pre-prospecting routine. Like, okay, before I start prospecting, I need to be in a certain routine, specific activities. They're going to lead you to better performance. How can you then, create more success when you're calling people? I can tell you right now, mindset in prospecting, just to give you an example. If I started my day, okay, and it's 7:50 in the morning and I'm getting ready to role play, and then before role playing, I open my emails and I see an email coming in from one of the attorneys on one of the deals. And I read something in the headline that intrigues me that says, hey, there's a problem with the deal. The deal is falling apart. You need to, do something. And if I'm going to pay attention to that, it's going to call me. When I pay attention to this thing that's calling me, I will open the email. And when I open the email, I recognize the deal that I've been working on for, 8 months with the fat commission now is falling apart. Now I need to start my day with that mindset. Like one of my biggest deals right now just fell through. I've been working on the deal for 8 months. The deal is falling through. What's my mindset? So when we spoke about last week, we also told you about in the Roleplay Club, we said no TV, no news, no social media before you finish your prospecting in the morning. That's all about mindset. It's all about mindset. The most successful agents understand that the mindset is the most important thing in prospecting because you really need to set your mind on a positive and not take in any bad news before you start making phone calls. So let's summarize that, go right into who to call. There are 2 groups we spoke about: met already, your sphere, and never met, which is everyone else. You want to start immediately and build your database for everyone you know. So I'm talking to a brand new agent or someone who's been in the industry now is not really following a system. The most valuable thing you have in your business, and you will recognize that, trust me, a couple of years from now, when you're doing 50 deals a year, and you're building a database, trust me, you will understand what I'm saying, because 80% of your deals at one point in time in the future will come from people you know. And that's a beautiful place to be in, when you have 80% of your sphere of influence and database working for you, giving you referrals, and you don't need to be, always constantly prospecting for cold leads. You will always be prospecting, but not necessarily 100% cold. So, who to call? Some examples of Met Group will include, these are all the people you know. So when you're sitting down and you're creating a database, the first thing to do is take your cell phone. Everybody that's in your cell phone, download your phone book into a CSV file, upload that into any CRM, or upload that into your spreadsheet. And then you have all these names right in front of you. Now we're talking about, if you need more names, when you build the database, you want to start thinking, which accountants do I know? And then you think, oh, I used to know this guy, but he's not working for me anymore. Let me put his name down. And you start building up your list. You start thinking about, okay, who do I know that is an accountant? Who do I know that's an attorney? Who do I know that's in the advertising industry? Who do I know that works for an airline? Who do I know that has an alarm company? Who do I know that's an appraisal? Who do I know that's an architect, bankers, beauty salon, builders, brokers, constructors? And you start going through all this list, and you're creating your database. Your database is your gold mine. This is what you could sell in the future. If you decide to retire from the business and you don't want to sell real estate anymore, you can then sell that, as long as first of all, you have to build your brand. But assuming that 10 years from now, you have a brand, which is your name, and you're doing 100 deals a year, or you're doing 50 deals a year, or doing 25 deals a year, and you want to sell that business because you're doing 25 deals every year. In a $10,000 commission average, you're talking about $250,000 income a year. That business could be sold to someone else. So the database is the most important thing in your business. How do you grow your Met Group, people that you actually know? Less than 10% of agents are top producers. They focus on growing their sphere of influence and past clients list. This is their top priority. More than 50% of their business is coming from that list. The beginning stage of your career, if you follow the system and you do it right, then you should start converting your database into referrals. It's easier to predict your income when you know how many people you have in your database, and then you know how much of that you can convert in business. For example, if you have 500 people in your database and you can convert 10% of that in business every year, that's 50 deals a year right there. Now, we teach a system with a database that if you follow the system verbatim, you will turn between 7 and 15% of the amount of people you have in your database. Meaning, if you have 100 people in your database, you can make between 7 and 15 transactions a year coming in from that database as a referral business coming to you. What's the difference between 7 and 15%? Well, your skill level. If your skill level is up, then you're going to convert more leads because you will be more engaged, and the people you're engaged with on all these different calls you're making will understand your level just by you opening up your mouth and start talking. If you're winging it, if you're not professional, if you're just like showing up and whatever happens, they will feel it and know it. It will be written all over you. But if you are a professional who follows scripts and dialogues, who knows inside out what sellers are going to say before they say, who knows, for example, how, what is the for sale owner going to tell me before I even call him? I can tell you what a feasible going to say before I make the phone call. And because of that, I can prepare better for the phone call and handle that and be able to then convert more. But I will never be able to do that unless I'm prospecting. So you have to be proactive, and you need to ask for referrals. The referrals don't just come your way. Now, we have agents in the office that told me many times, I got these listings because one of my past clients called me. They bought a house with me like a couple of years ago, and now they decided to buy a, investment property, so they called me. And I say, oh, they called you? You didn't call them? No, we actually didn't talk for a couple of years, and then they called me out of the blue. To me, that's like ridiculous. And it's also like winning the lottery. Like, why did they call you? And the reason is because no one else they know called them. That's the problem. So, but you can lose business. I also spoke to agents, many agents, that experienced the following scenario. Oh, I can't believe a friend of mine I drove by the house. I was like so shocked, and they were pissed off. I was so shocked. I drove by my friend, and there is a sign in the yard from XYZ Realty. I can't believe she just gave the listings to someone else instead of giving it to me. Well, when was the last time you contacted her? Well, we talk. She's my best friend, or she's a good friend of mine, and blah, blah, blah. But when was the last time you contacted her? Well, we probably spoke like a year ago, and I say, okay. So she gave the listing to someone else because you're not in contact with your people. So you must keep feeding the list and be consistent. Feeding the list. We'll talk about that. Top producers' secret. Top producers understand that their database is the core value of their business. They treat their database like a gold mine, because it is. They build their database regularly like a daily. They meet a person in a restaurant, they take their information, they put it in a database. And they include everyone they meet. They meet new people every day in order to grow their database. So they're actually going out purposely to meet new people and put them on their database and create a relationship. Remember, this is a relationship business, but you need to stay in touch with these people. Be in touch with them and create a situation that you are becoming their real estate connection. How do you do that? We'll talk about that. So top producer's secret. Top producers understand that the quality is in the quantity. I've been saying this to everybody. When people ask me, how do you become so successful? When I used to list about 80 to 110 listings every year, I would get about 8 to 12 listings every month on average. They asked me, how do you do it? And I told them the quality of leads are in the quantity. You have to play the numbers game. Play the numbers game. If you make 50 contacts every day, you have a much better chance of coming across a seller that is like ready to list right now and is not going to talk to anyone but the first agent who calls them. And that is the scenario with a lot of listings. You know why I got the listing? Because no one else called them. Let me tell you something. If you're not playing the numbers game, and your numbers game is like, oh, I'm calling one day, I call 5 people, the next day I call 12, then I call 18, then I call 7, then I don't call for 2 days, I take a day off, then I take a week off, I go on vacation, I come back, and then I call again, 18 people, my first day back from vacation, and then the second day I call 21, and then the third day I got a lead, so I couldn't really prospect because of the lead. And then I only made 5 contacts. And the following day I didn't make any contacts because I have to take out these buyers. And that's a nightmare of a business because they're not playing the numbers. The numbers is where the quality is. What does that mean? If I'm going to call 50 for sale by owners in a month, and you're calling 5 for sale by owners in a month, who has better chance of getting more appointments with for sale by owners? How many people do you really know? I ask this question every single agent that joins our industry brand new. I ask, how many people do you have in your database? Well, I don't have a database. Okay, how many people do you have in your cell phone? I don't know, a couple of hundreds. Okay, great. So put those names on a database. And then we talk a week later. How many people did you put on a database? Well, I just started making my list. I'm like at 25 people. I think I have like maybe 50 that I can put on my database. What? You just told me you have 100, like 300-400 people. Why are you only putting in 30-40 people? Well, because the rest of them, I didn't talk to them for a long time, and I don't think they're going to remember me. And that's what we're talking about. So, and look, guys, the scenario I just, played out for you is exactly what's happening with the majority of people. Majority, like 9 out of 10 agents would behave in the way I just described. And then you got one agent that takes the phone, downloads the entire thing, CSV file, boom, upload to a CRM. Okay, I got 379 people on my database. Great, let's start working. And with the other people, with 9 out of 10, it's a grind. Okay, get more names on the list, get more names on the list. Well, I got like 67 names. That's it. That's all the names I have. So when someone tells me that, and I asked them, were you born in the state you're working in right now? Oh, yeah, I was born here. Did you go to school there? Yeah. Did you go to college? Oh, well, yes, I went to college here, and I got a couple of jobs here, and all my family's here. So where is everybody? And people don't see the value in, because they're scared of making a contact with someone they didn't talk to for so many years. But you gotta, pass through this, scary experience of contacting people. The only way to make money in our business is by building relationships. And instead of building them new, why don't you just renew relationships you have with people that you already know? That's the quickest way to make money. Can you start cold in an area that you've never been in before? Yes, I moved from New York to New Jersey. I didn't know anybody in New Jersey, and I started cold calling, but I played the numbers game. I was making 50 to 80 phone calls every day. Who did you call? So many, how did you find all these people? That's a different question. But you can do geo leads, you can door knock, you can just call people from, for rent by owner, for sale by owner, expired license. There's a bunch of leads out there. So if you want to call a lot of people, you will find ways of doing it. But it's best if you actually build a database, because, if you know 100 people and each one of them knows 100 people, that means 100 times 100 if you do the work that it takes to get the 100 people in your database to refer you to their 100 people. And that takes consistency, it takes hard work, it takes a lot of stuff that we teach you within the system. But working the database, and by the way, going back to mindset in prospecting, when you start prospecting, if I told you cold call this for sale, angry for sale by owner, or start by calling 3 of your friends and family that you like talking to. It's always best to warm up with someone you know than to call someone that is going to beat you up like on the second you're just going to pick up the phone. And that's why the majority of people fail in prospecting. They start working for a real estate company who doesn't really train them. And if they do train them, they don't really pay attention to what they're doing after the training, meaning they're not really doing the work. They just went to training one time and that's it. They didn't do what, was told. And that's the majority of people. And because that's the case, that person picked up the phone, called a couple of people, got burned out, got rejected, and never picked up the phone again. Hated phone calls, actually hate the phone. Like, no, I don't want to even talk about that. There are so many agents out there that if I told them, you need to start picking up the phone and prospect, they will quit the business on the spot. They'll leave the company. Oh, no, that's okay. If you guys are all about prospecting, I'm not interested. Let me go somewhere else where they give me leads. So, but hey, we need everybody in our industry because there are some teams out there who give you leads and pay you 30, 40% of the commission. And you can work very hard working for these teams and make 60, 70, $80,000 a year having a job. And if that's what people are interested in, that's not what we teach here. Here we teach you how to become an independent, how to actually own a business, how to actually build your own brand, and how to go from 6 figures to 7 figures. That's what we're teaching. And I could teach someone, by the way, to be a part-time agent. Okay, with this system, I can teach someone to be a part-time agent, talking about working 5 hours a day, 6 days a week. So that's 30 hours. That's considered part-time. I can teach someone to do part-time and make $250,000 a year, being their own boss, calling their own shots, doing whatever it is that they want to do in their own terms versus working for someone else who's giving them leads and they need to be there like 8 to 5 and they have a boss basically telling them what to do. But you got to do the legwork. You got to walk the walk. Top producers, allies. Top producers understand the importance of building relationships with other affiliated professionals in the business, in the same or similar industries. For example, these allies will help you to get consistent business. So examples are mortgage brokers, insurance agents, attorneys, accountants, moving companies, inspectors. I mean, you can think about it, contractors. There's so many different builders. If you're going to start building your database and you have people within the database that come in contact with buyers all the time, who are these people? Right off the bat, mortgage brokers, right? Bankers. Okay, contact the mortgage brokers, contact the bankers and start talking to them about what you're doing and why they should choose you when they have a buyer that needs an agent, right? Call attorneys, tell them why they should deal with you when there is an estate sale and they need a good agent to deal with that. So you got to contact these people that come in contact with buyers and sellers all the time. And they should be part of your database. So it's not just calling people that own houses. It's also calling people and being in touch and feeding the database, with those professionals that can actually give you a lot more business than, one friend can give you. All right. So these are the examples. There's many other examples. You should just, start building your business slowly by building this database, understanding the language, start to prospect and put in the numbers because it's a numbers game. Calling, haven't met. These are cold calls. You're calling people you don't know. But these are the best leads, guys and girls. These are the best leads. If you're looking for listings and you want to get listings, you need to learn how to call for sale by owners and turn a call into a listing appointment. If you can learn how to do that, and we'll guide you through this in this program. If you can learn how to do that, join us on the Role Play Club every Monday and Tuesday at 7:55 a.m. in the morning. We meet on Zoom and we do sessions of role playing. And that's how you learn how to call for sale by owners and handle the call. Before they hang up on you, you need to get an appointment. How do you do that? Well, you practice. So you need to practice these haven't met phone calls. So it's, it is a cold call. I'm calling someone I don't know, but they have a house for sale. Versus I'm calling a friend of mine that I know is not going to sell their house right now. So it's maybe more comfortable conversation, but they're not going to sell their house tomorrow morning. Here you have a lead of someone you don't know, but they do have a house for sale. So if you can teach you the skills to the point that you feel comfortable, getting rejections, that you feel comfortable about it, and you have no feelings, you're not, going to kill yourself because 10 for sale by owners hung up on you this morning. We need to get you to that point. That's my job. Okay? The system works when you work the system. So when we're talking about prospecting, we need to look for hot leads. What do we call hot leads? For sale by owners are considered hot leads. Okay, Raphael is asking, why would you call a just sold? Why would you call a just sold? That's the question. Am I getting the question correctly?
Yeah, actually, yeah, because you told me about the for sale by owners, expired listings, but the just listed. What if they just listed with another agent, and they just sold the home? Why would you call them?
Okay, so just listed and just sold doesn't mean that the people just listed the property or just sold the property. Just listed, just sold means that you just listed the property and you're calling people around that listing and you say, hi, my name is Raphael. I'm calling you from Circle100 Real Estate Brokerage. I just listed a house for sale, or you can say we just listed if it's someone else's listing from the company. So you can call, for example, if I'm a brand new agent and I'm joining, Circle100, I'm going to look on the MLS which listings we have. I'm going to find the one I like in the neighborhood I like. And I'm going to start calling everybody around that house. And I'm going to call them one by one, cold calling them. And I'm going to, call them and say, hi, this is Ron Bierman calling you from Circle100 Real Estate Brokerage. We just listed a house over on 123 Main Street. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And I was actually calling to see, when do you guys plan on moving? And then I start with my script. I go on with my script. So just listed, just sold means you're calling someone and you're telling them, I just listed or we just listed. and then you tell them, I just sold or we just sold. So it's really a cold call, but you can pick up a lot of leads that way. I know a lot of agents that pick up, like, I'm talking daily, guys, daily leads of sellers and people are thinking about selling.
Gotcha.
So that's what that one means.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So for sell by owner and expired listings, these are the top-notch, hot sellers leads. These are sellers that need to sell. They're on the market. Now, a lot of for sale by owners are expired listings. They were on the market with an agent. They couldn't sell. Now they're trying to sell themselves. A lot of people that are, so when you call a FISBO, you know, you go through your script, try to really figure out, am I talking to an expired listing? Because you will pick it up from the language. And you need to understand, if it's an expired listing, you got to jump on your expired script. You're not staying on a for sale by owner script. You jump into expired script. So, and we'll give you all the scripts, and when you start practicing and you role play, you can role play a scenario that you talk to a FISBO, and then you recognize, oh, the house was actually listed, so let me jump right on my expired script. And you need to do that stuff automatically. So the only way for you to get to a certain level that you're calling people and you know exactly what to talk about is when you're actually doing it enough times over and over and over and over and over and over again, practicing and role-playing that, so that when you go into a real scenario, you know what to do. Guys, in the army, you don't take a bunch of soldiers and you throw them into a rescue mission. They need to role-play the rescue mission like hundreds, if not thousands of times before they go on a rescue mission. It's the same thing here. You need to practice and get ready for the real life when you really get on the phone prospecting. And you need to understand, I don't even know in the market, like if you're giving me an MLS, say in Rhode Island, how many for sale by owners are there and how many expired listings? I can't tell you, but I would guesstimate about 15 to 20 every day that are brand new. And then at the end of the month, which is normally the 30th, the 31st, or the 1st of the month, you will see a lot of expired listings. Because they expired, nobody renewed the listing yet, it's your chance to jump on it and get yourself an appointment. So we're not going to talk about the actual way of doing it. We're going to talk about how to actually build your business through prospecting. So the other haven't met are when you do farming and you go door knocking, or when you're just calling your farm. Okay, when you purchase a list, say of 1,000 homes in a certain area that you wish to work on, that's what we mean by farming. When you call investors, when you call for rent by owner, which is a great lead, by the way, to convert into a listing. And tax records, when you're calling people, right from the tax record, hey, hi, I'm calling the owner for 123 Main Street, and then you go from there. Distress owners and more. There's so many different lead sources that you guys can, get. But before you go anywhere, I will tell you the best 4 are for sale by owner, expired listings, just listed, just sold. These are and then for rent by owner. These are the best. All right, know your numbers. Top producers always track where the business is actually coming from, so they know how many phone calls they made today, how many dials. Well, I dialed the phone 150 times there, but how many actual contacts did you get? So they know how many dials they have and how many contacts they actually get. Because they understand that it's a numbers game, they need to improve on their skills in order to improve on their numbers. You will not see improvement in numbers until you see improvements in skill. And the skill I'm talking about is how to handle objections and how to handle phone calls while prospecting. You need to know how many times you need to duplicate an activity in order to multiply your transactions. What does that mean? You need to know how many times you need to actually duplicate an activity, meaning making contacts. How many contacts do you need in order to get to a listing? And in order to know that, you have to start following your numbers. Like it can be that one of us needs to make 100 contacts to get one listing appointment. And it can also be someone else that makes 10 contacts and gets a listing appointment. So for example, you can call 20 people and make 10 contacts and set 2 appointments and get 1 listing. Then you know that it takes 20 contacts to get a listing. So to get these ratios and to start understanding where you are in your skill level, you really need to track these numbers. If I called you and I say, how many contacts did you make? Or I'm looking at, all the text you guys are sending to the group. When I look at the text, I can actually follow through and say, okay, for the last month, I've seen Lisette making, say, 20 contacts a day, about 500 contacts. She made 500 contacts. She got herself 5 listings appointments, and she took 2 listings. So then we know that it takes 250 contacts for her to get a listing. And then we can look at someone else that does maybe, 10 contacts a day, and they can get more listing appointments because they're calling maybe different leads. And then we can start, okay, well, who are you calling and who are you calling? Well, I've been calling for sale by owners and expired listing. Who are you calling? Well, I'm just calling just listed you sold. Okay, so there you go. higher level of leads getting you, more listings. And as you start going through the business, you can tell just by now, looking at all that stuff, if you really track your numbers, how many contacts you're making every day. And then these are the numbers you need to know. How many dials versus contacts. So how many times you need to dial the phone to get someone to actually pick up. And that's going to change depending on which hours you're making your phone calls. Someone is prospecting at 7:30 a.m., say from 7:30 to 11:30, will get a lot more contacts per dials than someone who makes these calls at 2 p.m. You need to know total listing appointments. How many listing appointments did you get? How many canceled appointments did you get? How many listings taken versus not taken? How many expired listings? Do you have, what's the total listings that you sold? How many buyer contracts did you get? How many closings you got? All that stuff, you need to follow through all these numbers. I also gave you a number analyzer back in the day that basically breaks down all of that on a spreadsheet. Okay, a couple of rules for prospecting. When you are prospecting, be excited. Remember, in role playing, and tomorrow morning at 7:55, we'll do more of that. What do you do when you role play? You stand up, you create energy, you smile. And these are things you need to do when you prospect, all right? And then you obviously need to be dressed professionally. Trust me, even these days at COVID-19, everybody works from home. If you're gonna work in your jammies, you will get jammies results. If you're gonna get dressed professionally, you're gonna get professional results. Trust me, it makes a huge difference. I've been working from home for the last 22 years. So I can tell you, I had an office that I rented with 2 full-time assistants and 3 buyer's agents showing up there, working from there, meeting people there. I never went there. I was prospecting from home, and I would go directly to the house to do my listing presentation, come back home. All right, so you got to smile, you got to know and use the scripts. You need to pay attention to your energy when you're doing that, because your energy over the phone is reduced by like 90%. If you think that you are like super energetic and then you call someone, they don't really sense that. 90%, guys, is disappearing. You got to stand up, you got to create energy, you got to, really pick up your tone, your tonality, how you're pronouncing words on your script. You need to listen to the other party, you got to mimic them, you got to do a bunch of different things, mimic, mirror, and match. You got to do all of that while you're prospecting. How can you do that unless you already know what you're saying? And that's why at stage 1 of your career, the first thing you got to do is you need to memorize and internalize all the scripts and dialogues so that you know exactly what you're saying. And at that moment, we can start talking to you about tonality, pronunciation, accent, energy, mood. You can mimic all of those things with the person on the phone. For example, if you called someone and they're down, kind of depressed, you're bothering them, why are you calling me? And like all annoyed at you, and just like, dude, why are you calling me? Like, who are you? And you just like, hi, I'm calling you for ta-ta-ta-ta-ta, and you start, there's no matching there. And you're gonna find a lot of people hang up on you. So when you start really, bringing yourself to the next level, when you really own by memorizing and internalizing the scripts and dialogues, you really own those skills, you have them. Then you can get on the phone with people, very quickly figure out, what you need to mimic, mirror, and match. When you do that, you build rapport quickly, and therefore they're listening to you. And then you can take them through the script all the way to the bottom. And trust me, they already like you by then, because You just build rapport. And that's what it's all about. It's a technique, and a technique takes time to perfect. These are sales skills we're talking about. If you take the time and energy to study and to really bring your business to the next level, is when you can call all of those leads that we're talking about over here. For sale by owner, expired listing, just listed, just sold, for rent by owner, you can call them and turn them into every day. Every day, if you call every day Fisbos, and every day you're calling expireds, and every day you're calling just listed, just sold, and for rent by owner, trust me, you're going to get some listing appointments, especially when you do it this way. So these are the rules for prospecting. You need to remember that when you prospect, your goal is actually to set up an appointment. It's not to, argue with a seller and try to sell yourself on the phone. None of that stuff. You need to avoid selling and convincing. You need to be cool. You need to focus on setting up an appointment and following the scripts. The scripts are already designed to book an appointment. You don't even think about that. You just need to go through the list of questions from the beginning to the end. And at the beginning, I promise you guys and girls, at the beginning stage of your career, you will feel very uncomfortable calling people. It's natural. Everybody feels this way. Even the top producer that does, 500 transactions a year, who makes 150 contacts every day, feel uncomfortable on many phone calls. All right. Prospecting is a numbers game. You need to remember to play the numbers. So you need to remove your emotions and remove your expectations and just, don't be attached to the outcome. I always say at the beginning stage of your career, if you're going to seek to get results from your prospecting, you're not going to get results. Try to listen to that one. Like really own it. If you started your career or you're coming in from a different company, you're really not into this prospecting and doing all that stuff. You just were getting a couple of leads once in a blue moon and you closed 5 transactions in the last 24 months. And you want to go to your next level, you have to understand this is a different game we're playing. You need to remove all emotions and expectations. So when you make phone calls, you're not expecting to get appointments. You're just calling people. It's just like role playing, and you're not attached to the outcome. It's just a numbers game. You're looking for people that are looking, and you simply keep on going while you detach from emotions, right? Those who ignore this tip usually end up quitting the business. I promise you guys, 73% of all real estate agents who get their license will quit in the first 18 months. If you don't want to be part of that, then you need to take that into heart right now and really understand, own it. This is the information we'll bring you from the field. It's really what happens out there. So if you want to be successful in prospecting, is by far the number one skill you should master. It takes time to master it, so you need to put the time into it. Summarizing the call. Number one, we spoke about building a database and why that's important and how to do it. Number two, consistently and systematically contacting everybody, and then doing lead follow-up, and then providing constant, outstanding customer service and consistently asking for referrals. That's done with your MET group. This is what you need to do with those people that that's your database. So you're building your business right now at the beginning stage of your career. You got 2 different prospecting systems. Let's call it system. You got 2 prospecting systems. One is people you never met. Talking Fisbos, expired, for rent by owner, just listed, just sold, investors, etc. People you never met. So you got to engage with them at a certain level that they would consider you as a professional real estate agent. You are the authority in the business. That's one thing that you need to develop. And this is where the majority of your business is going to come from. Okay? And then you also at the same time need to build a database and contact everybody you know, friends, family, colleagues, acquaintances, etc., etc. Everybody in your database, and the database has to grow. Now, when you call a Fisbo and you warm up the conversation and you kind of have rapport, and then you do follow-up, and then you're getting an appointment, that person goes into your database and it's becoming part of your MET group after you meet with these people. So everybody in the non-MET goes into the MET group. People you never met before, once you meet with them, they go into your database. Every person you meet going forward goes into your database, and the database will have to be systematically programmed to do follow-up without you and you also going to have a part in it, but it needs to happen without you. There's a company named Agent Legend. Agent Legend is the name of the company. You go to agentlegend.com. They provide a service where you can put up to 200 leads. Doesn't take more than that. You can't put more than 200. You can put up to 200 leads into the system, and the system will do emails, texts, and leave messages on the phone on your behalf. And you can turn a lot of leads to appointments with the system. I just met a person who's using it. It's a freaking machine what he's doing with it. But before you jump on it, you need to know what the hell you're saying. So the most important thing for you right now is to join us on Mondays and Tuesdays at 7:55 for the Role Play Club and start role-playing your scripts and dialogues and become a master of the language we're using.